We're back with our Germany 1930 campaign in Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. We've just finished through September 1930. We had a battleship action out here in the middle of the North Sea. We prevailed. Before advancing, just pointing out here that the British have laid down a few new cruisers in response to their previous losses. We did complete the repair of Admiral Shear. And we had that battleship battle. One thing worth noting, I have not noticed during the 9 months of this war yet that Britain has discovered any techs. Usually there's a couple that are pretty close. Whether they're useful or not is a different story. But I haven't seen any discovered tech messages at all. That's unusual, and kind of makes me wonder just how much tech investment Britain has in the AI. Anyway, just a thought. All of our operational ships still in the North Sea. All of our battleships still in sea control. Let's see what October brings us. And the British Empire is once again suing for peace. And I don't blame them, having now lost a battleship. It's not just cruisers now. We got to think past the end of the war. Some cruisers he can rebuild somewhat easily. He's lost a battleship now. We're going to come out of this with at least in capital ships, a little bit of parity. I'm going to agree. Maybe just in time. We lost 4 transports. But it takes time for the diplomats to send their cables and confer and dust off their top hats. So the war continues for now, and there is one more battle, yet another battleship battle. In just about the same location as the last one. Here in the North Sea. Well, let's whittle down that capital ship balance while we still can and get an even more advantageous peace, which is set us up to discourage or to set us up better for the next war. This is all role-playing. These mechanics are not in the campaign. I'm just talking. Hopefully, eventually, those sorts of things will be a concern for when to make peace and so forth in the single long campaign. Here, the campaign is just going to end as soon as the war does. We are in sight. Frithhof, I guess, is how that's pronounced. We know the British battleships are a little bit smaller. We know they're very slow. We know they do not have torpedoes. It's not unusual for battleships. Sometimes they'll pop a launcher on there. Cruise speed. There's a pin. There's a pin. Some flooding. There's another pin with fire and flooding. 7 inches because of the quality. About a 6-inch forebelt. We know he didn't spend a lot of tonnage on speed. 9-inch main belt. Goodness gracious. That's just not battleship in any era. That's 2-inch forebelt. 0.7 inch. 2-inch main deck. That's not much less than mine. I skimped a little bit. 0 fore or aft deck. His turrets are pretty well protected. Well, he didn't spend tonnage on armor. He didn't spend tonnage on bulkheads. He didn't spend tonnage on speed. And predictably, his battleship costs less than half of one of ours. That's just a low-end design. What did he spend the tonnage on? Well, auxiliary engines and shaft. That's one. You know, he got a lot more of that than we did. Okay, well, the battle ended. Didn't digest all that. Well, bottom line, Britain just did not build very good battleships at all for this. And that's not like a player versus AI. Even for the AI, that was an unusually weak battleship for the automatic ship design to turn out. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, pre-Dreadnought speed, battle cruiser armor, well armed, you know, 15-inch guns, triple turrets. And the turret armor was good at 15 inches funnel, or at least compared to the rest of his armor. I just don't understand why it was so thin-skinned and slow. I don't get where the tonnage went. No, well, actually, I guess I do. 3 triple 15-inch turrets on a 38,000-ton hull. That's why. Those are really, really heavy turrets for that tonnage. And he had to skimp on both speed and armor to get that. Alrighty then. Schlesien from the previous battle still has a month of repair. Frith, however that's pronounced. Light damage. They'll both be back next month, if there is still a war next month. Occasionally you can agree to these peace treaties, and then the AI will change their mind and the war will still continue. It doesn't happen often, but I've seen it once or maybe twice. So we'll see. I think the campaign is over. Yeah. Peace signed, war over. So then this screen pops up that it's really kind of a placeholder. Um, if this were a long campaign with multiple wars, periods of peace, you have the option here of, at our level of victory, we're going to get $144 million of reparations. Some of that we can take in the form of ships, right? How about you give us the slight cruiser? We'll take some destroyers. And give us a battle cruiser too. Got any BBs? No, we don't want those. Things are crap. So you can keep those. I never did see a battle cruiser. Have no idea what they built. Just didn't appear. Yeah. Anyway, you can take some ships, and then if you win a really big victory, you might even take a province, right? Hey, give us Ireland. All right, it's grayed out because we don't have that much in our favor. It's only a minor victory. No matter how many ships you sink in the current state of these little short campaigns, I have not seen anything other than a minor victory. Even when it goes longer and you sink a lot more ships, minor victory is just how they've all turned out. So anyway, you can request ships, but it won't happen in the campaign because the game's over. So we checked these, but propose, nah, no ships, no province, just the money. And that's it for this Germany campaign. We fought the British Empire. It lasted, 11 months. Minor victory, as always. Reason, low victory points. Now, we could have kept repeatedly refusing every single time, and this campaign could have gone on longer, like 2 or 3 years. And eventually, with the repeated victories and losing more ships, that would have driven. It's kind of grayed out now, but it would have driven the naval prestige and the unrest of the British all the way to their thresholds. And when that unrest reaches 100, it's not just about the Navy and do you keep your job. It's the government is overthrown. There's a revolution. That also ends the campaign. That cannot be negotiated. When it happens, it happens. And it's just done. Obviously, the war goes on longer. You may be doing a lot of economic damage. There may be a blockade in place by then. And you sink a lot more ships than we did here. And it'll still come out a minor victory. And you still can't get Ireland. But we built 5 battleships and 6 heavy cruisers. And that's just what we started with. We had some laid down that we're building. None of those ever got to completion. We did lose 1 ship. We lost 1 heavy cruiser for a total of about 18,000 tons in losses. The enemy lost the 2 battleships. They were toward the end of the war. 7 heavy cruisers, 5 light cruisers, and we saw 1 destroyer, which we did sink for 260,000 tons of warship tonnage lost. As I mentioned, the transports lost on both sides were quite light. We actually lost a couple more than he did, but it's single digits. Other campaigns, it may be in the hundreds on both sides. Like I lose 100 transports and the enemy loses 200. So these are extremely light transport losses in this short war where there was no blockade. Regrettably, 18,000 British sailors lost. That's regrettable. C'est la guerre. We lost 1,300 of our own. And that's basically a look at how the ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts campaign looks like at its current stage. It looks like a prototype, and it's fun. It's a little bit skill clubby once you figure out ship design and so forth. It's more challenging if you saddle yourself with an auto-gen fleet at the beginning instead of designing your own ships. That can get a little hairy. You might get a few ship classes that are okay, and then you've got another, like some light cruiser or your battle cruiser is just an absolute dog. Kind of like that auto-generated battleship we saw that the British had at the end. You get stuck with about 5 or 6 of those, and it'll be a more complicated campaign. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the series, as short as it was, and yeah. If you're interested in seeing any other content from me, there's plenty of better, content from better UAD players than me on the YouTube. If you want to see me do another campaign or try a different strategy or something, within reason, I'm not going to go all destroyer or something. Leave a comment if you want. If not, that's fine too. Thanks.